admire your courage, Miss,
Trench. Sylvia Trench. I admire your luck, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
Stop right there, sir. I'd like to present for your consideration, dear viewer, the ultimate example of toxic masculinity and the oppressive power of the patriarchy, James Bond himself. You see, this one clip perfectly encapsulates everything wrong with this series. Not only is Bond daring to smoke a cigarette indoors, which is problematic enough, but the thing which is most triggering of all is that he prioritizes lighting up over responding to this woman's question. The message is clear. This is a man content to make women wait. A man who answers them when he's damn well good and ready. And really, that kind of disrespect is actually a form of violence. Fortunately, I'm able to see this shocking behaviour for what it is now that I've got my brain right, allowing me to start important conversations about how we can make things better. It's hard to believe now, but I used to consider James Bond to be a pretty cool guy. He was suave and sophisticated, he was handsome and dangerous, he was confident in himself and his abilities, he was a man who played by his own rules, who drove fast cars and travelled the world and hooked up with beautiful women, a man willing to lay down his life for Queen and country. But little did I know how toxic and disrespectful this kind of character really was. What we really need from Bond is for him to be old and retired, slowing down physically, carefully controlled and toned down so that he's as respectful, non-threatening and uncontroversial as possible, so that he can ultimately be replaced by someone more suitable and diverse. So I was particularly excited by the recent news coming out about Bond 25, where we learned the character would be changed to reflect the fallout from the Me Too movement. Even more exciting, the producers had gone so far as to enlist Phoebe Waller-Bridge, best known for her work on the spy comedy show Killing Eve, which successfully eliminated almost every straight white male character from its cast, to rework the script and make sure there was absolutely nothing left which could be considered offensive, controversial or non-feminist. Excellent work there, Phoebe. Keep it up. But the best news was yet to come. A couple of days ago, we learned that Bond will be retired in the upcoming movie, and his codename reassigned to actress Lashana Lynch from my favourite movie, Captain Marvel, paving the way for a possible gender and race swap for the iconic spy going forward. And it's about time, I reckon. The tough, ruthless, smart, strong and confident ladies' man of old is such a sexist, outdated concept that honestly I can't believe it's still even considered a thing in current year. I mean, why would today's, men ever aspire to such a toxic and damaging stereotype? Likewise, why would women ever consider a man like that to be attractive or desirable when they could have something like this instead? But Drinker, you bastion of progressive intersectional feminism, I hear you say, surely that kind of uncompromising strength, unapologetic self-confidence, unhesitating assertiveness, and even that hint of danger and adventure are at the core of what makes Bond so unique and compelling. Surely women have traditionally found such alpha males to be the more attractive and exciting choice for romantic partners, precisely because they can't be controlled and constrained. Because most women are smart enough to know that if a man doesn't have the confidence to stand up to them, he'll certainly never have the balls to stand up for them when it really matters. Well, you unmitigated bigot, that line of thinking belongs to a different age, which has no place in our current climate. Our main concern these days is making sure we produce the most bland, inoffensive, uncontroversial characters and stories as possible, to ensure we mollify the sensible, realistic and level-headed people of Twitter, who in turn will ensure that professional journalists write nice things about our film, because those are the people who really have their finger on the pulse of modern culture. Which brings me on to the next part of the plan to fix Bond. When you think about it, those gun battles, interrogation scenes, fist fights and deadly traps that play such a big part in these movies are all just more examples of the toxic masculinity of this franchise. There's a real danger they could trigger people who've been eaten by crocodiles or cut in half by laser welding kits. Not to mention that showing a man engaged in aggression and violence of any kind is generally threatening and upsetting to today's audiences, and we can't have that. But once we have our new politically acceptable and diversity approved 007 in place, I for one am looking forward to the removal of such outdated tropes. I honestly don't see why Bond can't sit down with his, or her, enemy and resolve their differences over a nice cup of decaffeinated latte, using non-offensive, gender-neutral language and emotional empathy. And of course, making sure to have safe spaces on hand for both parties in case someone feels triggered and needs to decompress for a while. It really is great news, both for new arrivals and for long-time fans of the franchise, and I personally can't wait to see this new, modern and more sensitive version of Bond when it hits the big screen. It's sure to be a big hit with the, ladies and the men of 2020, so join me on opening night to give this movie exactly the kind of support it deserves, so the producers of the Bond franchise will know loud and clear exactly what their fan base really wants. And that's all I have for today. Go away now.